What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Salvage Secrets channel. My name is Andre, and today we're going to look at our newest rebuild project, this 2022 Range Rover Sport. This car is absolutely gorgeous, and to be fair with you guys, we don't really get too many of these cars because they're not easy to buy at auctions, because everybody apparently likes Range Rovers and a lot of people ship them overseas. So we don't get too many of them, but when we do, I try to get nice ones like this. So as you can see, this car has really minor damage. That's basically all it is right here. That's all you see, guys. That was pretty much the damage. When we got the truck, this tire was blown, so it looked like somebody hit a pothole or something and somehow that damaged the bumper. So you might be asking, like, Andre, this is a $60,000 truck. How come they totaled it for this damage, right? Well, that's a great question, and I don't know the exact answer, but what I can tell you guys is when we got this truck, right, it didn't start. It was like, you know, it said that it doesn't start. And I looked at the pictures, and, you know, I looked at the damage, I looked at the pictures, and I'm like, something is a little fishy over here. There's no way, I mean, unless it was hit underneath and the engine is damaged or something, there's no way this car does not start, right? So I kind of took a chance on it, and it paid off, because what happened was somebody, whoever owned this car before, they disconnected the computers and disconnected some plugs, and that's why the car didn't start. So obviously it was like an insurance job. Somebody tried to get rid of this truck, and they wanted to make sure that the insurance company is going to total it. So they just did some dirty business, disconnected computers. We connected everything, and the car started right up. And take a look at this, guys. This truck is absolutely gorgeous. It's a 2022 model, has nice red and black interior. It's got like 20,000 miles, and it's really well equipped. And yeah, so that seems to be the only damage that we have to fix. Basically the bumper. Take a look closer. There's a little more damage over here on the fender, which is nothing. It's not a big deal. Then the bumper, the cover, it's damaged a little bit, but it looks repairable. It's a little cracked here, but I think we'll be able to fix it. This piece I'm gonna buy brand new. There's a little piece missing over here, the fog light, this cover that goes in the middle here, and that's about it, guys. So I'm gonna show you pictures of this truck when we bought it from the auction, so you can see how it looked like. And there is another story with this truck. Looks like it was totaled before, and I also knew that before I bought it, so I did some research to see exactly what happened with it. And it looked like it had some damage on the left quarter panel, which was repaired. It looks pretty good now. I mean, no complaints. And yeah, guys, so this is it. Then I'll share the numbers, how much we paid for the truck, how much we sold it for, planning to sell it for. I do have a good friend of mine who is interested in buying it, which is nice. So I'll see you guys soon. All right, guys, so let's take a look at this Range Rover when we got it from the auction, from Insurance Auto Auctions. These are the actual pictures of the truck. And by the way, as you can see, we got it here for $29,500 with all the fees and everything. So these are the pictures of the truck from the auction. As you can see, there are no airbags deployed, and the only damage, as I just showed you, was right here, the bumper, and you see the tire is blown. And if you look here, it says stationary, which means the car didn't start, and that's what kind of caught my attention. This is the VIN. You know, if you look here, I mean, obviously there is no visible damage on the engine, but again, it could have some undercarriage damage. But from the pictures and the type of damage, I thought that, you know, someone hit a pothole or something, so the tire blew up and it obviously damaged the bumper and stuff like that. But it doesn't look like it was a lot of undercarriage damage, at least from these pictures. Like, it was just very unlikely. And obviously, before buying something like that, I would always encourage the inspection, like in person, or you can hire somebody to do it for you. But I kind of like, after years of being in this business, I felt something is off about this, you know. So I started digging into it. I started doing some research to see like what happened with this car, the history behind it, and things like that. You go on bidcars.com, which is the website we often use, and I put in the VIN from Google. This car was was at the auction 21 times, and you know, obviously the prices are kind of grayed out, right? But you can see that these are the pictures, and you know, it's blurred here, right? But if you click on view photos, you can actually see the original pictures of the car. So let's see, this car was first sold at IAA on December of 2022, which was almost like over 2 years ago, right? And let's see, this is the lot number. I don't know how much it sold for because it's kind of hidden here. It had 6,000 miles on it at the time, sold by State Farm Insurance. And these are the pictures of this car when it was originally sold. And as you can see, the fender was off, the bumper was off. Doesn't look bad, to be honest with you. It's just the parts are missing. Like I guess they took them off to estimate damage. That's what it looks like. And the main damage was here on the rear quarter panel and the suspension, which is kind of bad, but it's not, you know, nothing too crazy, right? So obviously they took a lot of parts off, I guess, to see the damage. As you can see, the airbags were not blown, and this was the original damage. Then like I said, the truck had like 6,000 miles on it at the time. Then somebody bought it, they fixed it up, it looks like, and it ended up back at the auction roughly like a year later with 7,100 miles. So someone fixed it, and they did put like 1,000 miles on it, and they threw it back in the auction, which is usually a red flag, because let's see how it looked like, because you don't know, you know, how it was fixed. But why I even considered buying this car, right, is because first of all, it's been a year. Well, first of all, the original damage did not look that bad. And then the second thing is, it's been a year since the car was repaired, and they actually put 500 miles on it, which means that the car drove for 500 miles, right? So that's a good sign. And looking at these pictures, to be honest with you, look, the repairs look really, really good. I mean, just by looking at these pictures, as you can see, everything was repaired nicely. The truck had 7,100 miles on it. It looked really nice. I mean, I know in some videos I showed you guys a lot of prepped cars, the one that were like basically destroyed, and then they make them look better and throw them back in the auction. This does not look like one of those cars. It actually, the damage was not that bad, but there was a reason. And you see now they got a rebuild title with it. So they did the repairs, they got the rebuild title, and then they put it back in the auction. Why? I don't know for sure. Maybe they just tried to get rid of the car. Maybe they didn't like it. Maybe there was some issue with the car that they couldn't fix. Anything is possible, right? And I actually threw the same VIN number in another website, bidfax.info, that we use sometimes when Bidfax doesn't provide information. And I was able to see some more information here. So it looks like the second time around, this is when they were running this car, and they got 38,800, 41,000. That was back in April of 2024, so about it, like I said, a year ago. And then finally they sold it on iBuyFast for $57,000, guys. They sold this truck, which is a lot of money, obviously, but at the time it shows that this truck was worth like 85. So I don't know if that's the accurate number. All right, but that was back in 2024. And then finally, so someone bought it on iBuyFast, and then looks like a week later, no, 2 weeks later, it was back at the auction. So I don't know. Oh, it's the same lot number. So I'm guessing people who bought it, they didn't pay for it, possibly, because maybe they did the research and they looked at the pictures and they got scared or something. So looks like the buyer didn't pay, and then they put it back in the sale, and they got roughly the same amount, about 36, and then finally sold it for 40 grand in May of 24, which was 17,000 less than the last time. So I don't know exactly. Again, it's hard to say exactly what happened, what kind of games they're playing. I don't know, but this is what I saw, right, when I was doing research on this truck before we bought it. And then finally, this is when we bought this truck. So this, again, it ran on October 22nd of 24, sold for 36 grand. I saw it at the time and I felt like it was way too much money, so I didn't want, I didn't buy it, so someone else bought it. And then a week later, I saw it back at the auction again. So again, I'm guessing, again, the buyer bailed out or something. They didn't buy it, because maybe, again, they did research after they bought it, and then they saw the car was at the auction before and it was repaired, so the buyer just bailed out, and they paid like IAA release fee or something, and they just didn't buy it. So at that point, it was sold by the insurance company, and they estimated the value at 46.6 because the car had the rebuild title before. I'm guessing when I looked it up, it was around 60,000 for a truck like this with clean title. So and they got like 36,000 for it. Obviously they sold it, but the buyer didn't pay. And then after that, the auction relisted the car, and as you can see here, that was kind of suspicious, because people like me, they saw this truck, it was sold, and then suddenly it's back at the auction. So it was only a week later, but now they only got 27.5. Obviously they wanted more money. They ran it again a week later, they got 25.4, so even less than they got originally. And then at that point, I've seen this truck like run through the auction a few times, right? And it kind of caught my attention, because I'm like, okay, this looks like a nice truck. It's something fishy about it, right? But it's just a lot of value for the money, right? So like for 26,000, in my eyes, it was worth it, even with the previous damage, and taking a chance on it that it doesn't start. Because the truck like that on the market at the time I bought it was around 65,000 with this mileage. It only had 12,000 miles on it, and I knew I could easily get 45, at least 45 to like 48,000 for it, like 75-80% of retail, right? So for 25, 26, 27,000, even with repairs and everything, even if it cost me like a little over 30,000 after all the fees and repairs, I figured I'd still be ahead of the game if I sell it for 45. It was like plenty of margin to play with. It was like $10,000 of potential profit that I was making. And I figured, I get it, and if there is still, if there is some major problem with it, the engine is blown or something like that, I can always get at least my money back, or maybe lose a little money, because 27,000 all day long, this truck is worth this money. All right, so that was my thinking behind it, and I ended up winning it at 27,350. Again, they wanted more money, obviously, but then basically they gave it to me, because at this point they ran it like a few times and they realized that they're not getting any more money, so they just sold it for 27,350, and with fees it cost me 29.5, right? And when we got the truck, basically what happened was, as I mentioned earlier, someone disconnected the wiring, and they disconnected some computers, so the car didn't start. So it definitely looked like an insurance job. Looked like somebody messed with it, and they tried to get the car totaled and made sure the car didn't start, so the insurance company totals it, and that's what happened. So we got the truck, we connected all the computers, the truck started right up, and the only damage we had to deal with is basically as I showed you earlier. The bumper, you know, obviously I had to buy a new tire, and that's about it. So this ended up a great deal for us, and yeah, this is what happened, guys. All right, guys, so we finally got our Range Rover back from the shop. As you can see, everything is fixed. Take a look. We fixed the front bumper. We were able to save the front bumper, so we didn't have to replace it. Just fixed it and painted it. We just replaced this little piece here that was missing, and this piece, and also I had to replace the fog light because it was missing as well. So all in all, the parts cost me around 500 bucks. I got the fog light from the dealer for like around 350, and then this piece was around 100 bucks, and this was like from eBay around $75, so it was cheap. Oh, and also I changed this grill because it had some damage on it, so I figured, you know, to make it nice, just put a new one. This grill cost me around 200 bucks, so $700 in parts, and I paid the guy $600 in labor to paint the bumper, put everything back together. So all in all, we spent like $1,300 on repairs for a total 2022 Range Rover. The insurance company said the damage would cost around $32,000 to fix, and it cost me $1,300. Crazy, right? Oh, and yeah, obviously, as I told you earlier, we had to change the tire because it was blown. Other than that, everything is great. We did run into a little issue with the suspension. Apparently, I think, as I told you guys, this truck had some damage before, so the quarter panel was damaged and somebody had it repaired, and the suspension. So the suspension wasn't working the right way. When you went all the way down, it wouldn't go all the way down, so it was just going up right away. So something was wrong with the suspension. And what happened was, you know, I brought it to Range Rover dealer, told them about this problem to check it out, and they told me it's going to cost $5,000 to repair. So they said we have to change the compressor for the suspension, the module, program, everything is going to be $5 grand. I said, no, forget it, guys. So we took it back, we diagnosed it. Turned out that the suspension control module was no good. Let me show you if it's still here somewhere. So there is a module that's mounted in the quarter panel, right? And it controls the suspension. So this module was no good. The module, I bought it used for like $70, and I paid the guy 500 bucks to program it. So instead of paying $5,000 to the dealer, I spent $570 to fix this problem. I'm telling you guys, the dealerships are just rip-offs, you know, they try to rip you off. So especially when it comes to like electrical problems or more involved problems, never bring your cars to a dealer because they're gonna rip you off, and for something very simple they might charge you thousands of dollars. It happens over and over and over again. All right, so yeah, other than that, everything is great. The truck is ready, and like I said, I already sold it to my friend. So all in all, this truck cost me around $30,000 plus $1,300 for the body repairs and another, let's say, $600 for the module. So let's say $2,000 to fix it. So 32 grand all in, and I sold it for 45, so made sweet $13,000 in profit, which is good. And it doesn't happen every time, but you know, sometimes it does. So the lesson here, guys, is you got to be smart and you have to know what you're doing, you know, because if you're not taking any risk, you're not going to make any money. Obviously, there was some risk involved, but it was a calculated risk and it paid off. All right. So this is what I wanted to show you guys today. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.